Right. Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
I'm Joe.
This is episode 81 of our podcast. The date is March 29th, 2022. How are things, my man?
All right. Hello to everyone in chat, all two of you.
Yeah, Martin,
Awesome.
Larry, what is up?
Yeah, not a whole lot this week.
No, not much going on.
Yeah, no gaming, no. I did have the weekend off though.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. That is cool. All right. Oh, Patrick said, Shadow and Sun. Hello, guys. Hey, Patrick.
All right.
Yeah, all we saw was two, brother.
Yeah.
And then people are slowly trickling in.
Yeah.
So I did get to game some. Saturday I'd committed to gaming with our buddy Tim and his boys and a friend of ours, Greg, and it was pretty fun. It's gonna be.
That's what killed our game.
Well, yeah, because I'd made plans with them about 3 weeks ago, and so we had pushed it to that. And,
no excuse.
That really didn't kill our game.
No, Pat. Yeah, there were other issues that wouldn't have panned out anyway.
Wore out. He had a hard week at work, so yeah. So, but I do have. Do I have it handy? Yeah, look at this. Hold on. Very cool. Just got this from the great and all-powerful Amazon.
Ooh.
Picked up the Earth Dawn 4th edition. So now I will know all things, or at least tiers 1 to 8 or 4 or something. Haven't read it yet, so be cool.
Yeah, you need one or two other books to get the whole stretch.
Yeah.
We have Patrick here. He knows which ones we need.
He would know
what you need.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
start with one. I'm starting with one, see how I like it. I mean, the first game's always rarely do I get turned off the very first at any game, but I liked what I saw, and I think we got a potential for a really good campaign. So, Patrick's asking if we can play this Saturday.
I'm working, so it'll have to be later on, but
yeah, I'll be down for a maybe. I'll check my schedule. I think I'm going to be good.
And I got to clear it with the wife.
Yeah. Hello.
All right, Legion of Myth. Thank you for joining our small group here. It's all intimate like.
Yes, it is. We do like the intimacy around here.
And just in case there are lurkers who aren't chatting, because some people are just like that. Some people are like that. They don't like
I can be like that sometimes.
Some of the newest stuff. The newest stuff being Streamlabs. We have a Streamlabs link now. And that might be in our outro. That might be in our outro vid that has our links, but maybe not. I can't tell from here. I do need to update that.
What is that? I'm going to ask a dumb question. What is the Streamlabs link?
Streamlabs is it's a tip link.
Where
someone can give us a tip. Nice. A couple of weeks ago, Bruce Lombardo gave us a tip, and that was very welcome.
That's nice, Bruce.
And so it's just another way for folks to spread the love.
Spread the love. Very cool.
We also have another new link that I haven't told you about yet, so this is going to be new for you.
Oh, I'm ready for the newness.
I started. Oh, and Shadow. Definitely welcome. Before I spill the beans, welcome, Shadow. Thanks for being on last week. That was real fun.
Yeah, real fun. That was cool. Baron G-Rock in the house. Hey,
Baron. Where? I don't. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Heyo. What? You're not. say ain't so, Legion of Myth. We are not your total and complete world right now. I'm hurt. I mean, I don't know why you don't put on VR goggles and look at us in 3D.
Yeah. I mean, you need a lot of space because we're kind of large.
A little.
I am.
So I started a Gilded server for the biggest weakness.
Okay.
So you've heard of Gilded? Did we talk about it?
It's but it's an alternative to Discord?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's all I know.
So it's just an alternative to Discord, and because Discord is a great big pile of weenies, because they have their very own diversity, inclusion, and equity group, and yeah. Oh yes, that's right, Legion of Myth. You wear natural VR goggles because they bend the lights around your noggin.
Notice Baron G-Rock's eating a little dinner, I guess, at Red Lobster listening to the show. That's cool. I'm a little jealous.
A little. I suppose that's acceptable.
You should bring enough for everyone when you show up.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, it was fun. I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about because it was, especially to be on the internet with us. And I've been shouting you out you guys all over the internet.
Oh, cool.
Not just us, us, Legion of Myth, Baron G-Rock, Bruce, and T-Shirt in all our recent videos. That's great. Good job, Shadow. Thank you very much.
A lot of good folks there, including Shadow. Yeah, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Watch all the shows.
All right. So that's the excitement. I'm also, the other thing I'm doing podcast wise is I am really diving deep into a program called OBS.
Okay.
And I had been, but I'm no longer using it for a backup recording because this gets recorded on the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can download it, and then there's 2 copies. So there's technically a backup for as long as I can only do 50 hours here in StreamYard, but it's still a backup of sorts.
But you could delete as we go. So once you get close, you could push one back. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So cool. I've been downloading, and so as soon as I can get some bigger storage and maybe work out some kind of deep storage that isn't expensive, I don't know. It may not be worth it, but it just seems smart to have some backups. Anyway, OBS is something I can use to host our show without using StreamYard.
Huh.
And don't need it at all. What the only caveat will be, we will need some way to connect me to you and you to me.
Okay.
On the internet without being creepy.
Right. So, is that when you were talking possibly going back to Skype?
Yes, that's one way. And then we can do all kinds of nifty stuff.
Okay, cool. Oh, Shadow and Sons said he might see if he can get us hooked up with some Arduino stuff if we're into it before we leave. I'd like to try at least a little bit of Arduino. I've heard a lot about that, so it's kind of a gonzo thing. You might like it, Joe.
Okay. Gonzo's okay for a diversion now and again. If it's not too gonzo, if it's just sword and sorcery, because sword and sorcery all by itself can tend a little gonzo,
especially the older ones. Yeah, the older stuff.
Yeah, and to be honest, D&D, is kind of gonzo, in a way. I mean, it has treasure chests that want to eat you.
Yeah.
Holes that are bigger on the outside than on the inside, or bigger on the inside than the outside.
Correct.
Underground fungi loving tiny people.
Yep.
I mean, so it's kind of gonzo.
Yeah,
it can be looked at it that way.
For sure.
Oh, so Legion, you used to use OBS. And Heathen Dog still does for game streams, but I don't see the benefit. Oh, sure. Over StreamYard's simplicity. Sure. $25 a month. So that's one of the selling points. Plus, if all you want is simple, sure, that'll work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can yeah, you got other things to do. You just want to hop on and do it. Maybe that's the best.
And for me, it's just something new to learn, and it might be of benefit to some degree. There are lots of options. So if you have a hard time making decisions, or you have to have things so perfectly which way, it would probably be bad for a control freak because you would take too long setting all the little things. But so I can understand why some folks don't like it, and plus it's not simple. StreamYard is very simple.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of podcasty stuff. Thinking this past week, I have. I said I had a game I played on Saturday for a couple hours. I'm going to talk about that in one of our segments. It was fun. I think it could have been better, but it's going to bring up some good discussion.
Oh, cool.
I also am feeling a bit. I don't know what it is. I just. Well, I think I might know what it is, but I wouldn't mention it right now. But I think I'm going to be taking a hiatus from game mastering for a while.
Okay.
I have a feeling. I mean, like a really, this kind of a. And I'll play. I'm willing to play, but I think I'm going to take a little hiatus from jamming. We'll talk more off air about that. So
Sure.
anyway, but there'll be bits and pieces of it in this. So anyway, shall we get going to? We have any calls in? No call-ins or emails, right?
No call-ins, no emails, but we have lots of lovely folks here to join us live.
Oh yes.
All right.
First little link. We've got a couple links to chat about. Joe,
Yeah.
you want to take the first one? I didn't fully. I'm not even sure what NFTs are.
Oh yes. Is that that one?
That's,
Yes. Cancel culture has no allies. Yeah. Let me share. Let me pull that up first and then share. Go there. All right. Yes. So Brie Larson, who we all love, just adore as Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Oh, she's everything.
She's everything. Yes, she's going to be the Sorcerer Supreme maybe as well, and
who knows?
Yeah, because might as well.
Right.
She's being canceled in a way. People are getting on her crap because she dared support this NFT deal. Right? There's this in NFTs it stands for non-fungible token. So what that kind of means is that it's a digital, kind of like a digital certificate for a digital, could be a physical property. Okay. So it's kind of like a certificate of ownership, a digital certificate of ownership that you could transfer to someone, but you can't necessarily copy, and two people have the same thing.
But it means something?
It does in the cryptocurrency world, okay. Right? A lot of people think it's a bit of a scam, and some people are using it as a scam.
Yeah.
But they'll make a meme, an NFT, and sell them for actual money.
Okay, hold on. So you would buy this non-fungible token, and you would own something?
Okay, I'm no expert.
Okay.
So we can't go too deep into it.
Okay.
But you could own something physical in the real world, or just own something digital.
Gotcha.
And this is kind of proof of that ownership, in a way. So there's also what she did was do something in the crypto world, in the metaverse, which is something new.
Okay.
And she posted some videos on it. And people are jumping down her crap, because they think they have something against NFTs.
Okay.
This doesn't have anything to do with anything about anything she's been in.
Okay.
But people, okay. So she posted this that I have up here.
Right.
Welcome to my little corner of someplace in the metaverse. It's just a digital virtual world.
Right.
So, and she posted a video of it.
Okay.
And then under that, someone said, Brie, you're going down a path I can't follow.
Who cares? What? I don't get that. Who cares?
Right,
A whole lot
right,
of who cares?
right,
I'm actually going to defend Brie Larson on this. Who gives a
right.
crap?
Everyone at Brie Larson. My disappointment in your performance cannot be overstated. I mean, and this is all of this.
Oh my! Okay, they're
This
all
is the
complaining.
bad place. Keith Oberman, who's a complete raging lunatic.
There you go.
You got paid, what does that mean? Amount of money, 7 in 50 zeros for this because that's how much damage you just did to your rep.
She did damage because she bought a piece of digital property.
Right. So they're jumping all in her crap because of that. But do any of these people jump down anybody's crap for anything actually worth jumping for? No.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one. It's extra sad to see Brie of all people, how is she special? Of all people, doing all this crap like I'm editing.
Yeah.
Like before Marvel, she was an indie queen.
Just vibing.
Queen.
Just vibing. She was vibing, Joe.
Just vibing and being a very normal person. And now it's turned her into a corporate nightmare. I do not like her. It's been a fun couple of years watching the downfall. Okay, so they're probably thinking she's sold out to Jeff Bezos, who's behind the whole metaverse thing. And, some people like Bezos, some don't. And I don't really care, but it's just funny seeing the left eat its own, I guess. Can't hear you. You're muted.
Right, because I don't know what I'm doing. So Bruce is heading out for a minute to get scrubbed up, and I like Shadow's comment. It's about how I feel about it. If it comes out of Holly weird, I'm not interested. Pretty much.
Right.
Right.
So it's just a little something to laugh at because, I mean, why are they jumping down her crap for something that doesn't mean a whole lot of anything to anybody?
It doesn't mean anything. She bought some digital space. How is that different than having a website?
Yeah, it's not all that different. No.
I'm gonna say it's just whatever. People are nuts. He's complaining about everything.
Right. All right. So moving on, because that's not all that interesting. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. This is interesting.
So, WizKids in conjunction with Wizards of the Coast, or I wonder if it's directly in conjunction with Hasbro. I'm not sure. They're making a competitive game called Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught. Mm-hmm. According to this article here, it'll have 21 miniatures, which a lot of us will buy the game just for that and throw away the rest, or just put the rest of it on the shelf.
Right.
If the miniatures are good enough, and if the box isn't too expensive.
I did that for Attack Wing. I got 3 or 4 nice little dragons.
Right. But there's not a whole lot here to look at. It's just an announcement. So, but it's a competitive game. It's not cooperative. So,
right. Okay. They said it'd be like Attack Wing, but it sounds like you're going in as groups of adventurers and monsters. So you'll either play the monsters, the adventurers, and you'll fight each other. And yeah, I mean, that could be cool. Sounds kind of like the old what was that miniature battles game they had back in the 3.8 era? D&D minis they had. So it could be all right.
Yeah, they're revamping their combat dial.
Oh, okay.
Or they're doing a new one for this. And some, I think there's some indication in here that the author believes that they're taking advantage of this to create a new line.
Yeah. Probably like Hero Clicks, Baron G. Rock says. I think probably more like that than Hero Quest, Shadow, I think. I'm guessing.
Yeah, because it'll have the combat dial on the bottom instead of a plain base.
And I don't remember, but I don't think Attack Wing was collectible. I got this. I got a sweet red Draco Lich at Gen Con several years back. Mm-hmm. I got it for like $7, and it was normally like I think 20 or 18. This guy had it on sale, and I bought one. I almost bought 2 or 3 of them just because they were so cheap. But it's a really nice flying. You've seen it probably. My little red Draco Lich. He looks like he's maybe large. The scale's a little off the other minis, but whatever. He still looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that dial is going to be like a click, and yeah, that's what I'm guessing. So that's all right.
Yeah, it might end up. It might end up being fun. It might end up being able to buy 21 figures for what ends up being a discount.
If it's a decent price and you get decent minis, that's fine.
It'll be worth it. Like some of the other box sets that have come out. Some of them haven't been worth just getting the miniatures.
No, I got what was that game? Against the Giants Premium Edition. It's kind of like their adventure system game, like Wrath of Ashardalon, Castle Ravenloft, and all that. And I got that for the Giants because they're colored painted, and they ended up being smaller scale. They were literally like their storm giants are the size of like hill giants, I think. But it's not the end of the world. They still look good, so they make great giants. So
right, and this isn't coming out anytime soon. It's not going to come out till third quarter.
No.
So
yeah,
like August at the earliest.
Oh, okay, cool. All right,
So,
I think that's about all we had there as far as links. A little kind of a slow week.
Yeah, not a lot happening in the D&D world. Not that anyone's talking about. I mean, I suppose I just didn't want to plumb the Twitter depths. There's probably something. There was some jabbering about something.
No, okay.
That didn't really. It just wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Joe, we'll talk about it more. I'd email you this week or text you. I'd like to think about. We should talk about our next foray as far as biggest geekest, where we're going to go, and I think we need to get close to episode 100. And so when we do, we kind of, I don't know. I have some things I want to talk about.
Sure.
So, but anyway, shall we go on to segment 2? I wouldn't call it the main topic, but we could. It's got the title, but we're going to have kind of 3 mini topics today.
Yeah. That's cool. Let's do it.
Oh, before we do it, Patrick's making a guess. He says a 21 mini board game. I'm calling that price tag at $60 plus. I'd say 80 because of WizKit. I think you're unfortunately probably right. If you get 21 minis, I can't believe they're going to sell them to you for $30.
Probably not. And like he said, it is WizKid. So
yeah. Okay. So one thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to in the second segment, we're going to call this our Monster Mash. And we were inspired, at least I think we were inspired. I remember talking about this a while back from Red Dice Diaries. John over there, he and Hannah, they pick sometimes some more obscure creatures, sometimes not so obscure, and they go into in-depth discussion of the creatures. And so we're going to do something like that. We're envisioning maybe an 11-part series, this being the first part, where we're going to break down our top 10 D&D monsters. And I'm not sure how Joe and I are going to do it, if he's going to pick 5 and I'm going to pick 5, or we're going to come to some sort of agreement. We kind of want to see how they fit into the fantasy game and why we would consider it top. My first gut reaction is to rank them, because I love ranking things.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an actual 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 countdown to the number 1, based upon frequency in which they appeared in the game, which I don't know if you think that's a good idea. Maybe what I've heard from other gamers chatting about these monsters, their iconic stature, if you will, our relative preference for them. Do we think they're cool? Do we use them a lot? Joe knows a couple, 3 types that I use over and over. They would definitely be, I'll put them up for the list somewhere. And their repeated appearance in various D&D games and clones and editions and such. That's kind of the overview of what we kind of want to do.
We should. Yes, I was just getting ready to chime in. Mm-hmm. We should probably throw in there what we like them. I guess is that in here? What we like about them?
Well, I have kind of a list, so yeah, we could say like our favorite examples, but yeah, we could say why we like them. Sure, we should give our reasons. I'm sure everybody else will have other reasons for why they say, "Oh, that monster shouldn't be there. This one should be there." It'll be fun to do. It'll be focused mainly on D&D, but you could spread it to other fantasy worlds if you want.
Any fantasy, yeah. If it's fantasy, you're going to have these kinds of creatures, right? And if you don't, you can throw it in there.
Heck yeah, no reason.
Right, because their utility and fun are probably things to focus on, and appeal. Those probably talk about those 2 items: usefulness and fun. Are their appeal really?
And I'm thinking we're probably going to separate some of the chores because I mean I like the idea of us finding their first appearance in D, and that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, because it's certainly interesting seeing how many monsters actually started way back when.
Exactly.
And they just got reprinted over and over, revamped over and over.
I mean, you know, it's going to be the orcs going to be in there, and the unicorns in there. I didn't even put that one down. Are we going to consider the unicorn a monster? I mean, who really uses it? So, but yeah. Oh, considering monsters, look at this. Shadow and Sun says, "Has anyone seen the Next Level Miniatures Kickstarter? 134 minis for under $100, including a Dread Dragon and Orcus." Wow, who's doing that? Side comment. Who is Next Level?
Are they unpainted?
Yeah, are they unpainted guys? Because if they are, Randy's out.
I've got enough unpainted already. Even though Orcus and a Red Dragon sound cool.
They do. Gosh, pro. Yeah.
Speaking of frequently used monsters.
Yeah. Oh, boo. Sorry, Randy, unpainted. Oh, Patrick.
All these companies want us to do their work for them.
I think Patrick should paint them all for me when I get them, just for free. So, yeah, sad. Oh well. Anyway, back to our Monster Mash. So, yeah, I think that'll be fun tracking down its first appearance. Maybe even go. I'm going to try to dive in pretty hard on that part. That intrigues me. Its common characteristics and powers throughout the editions, because some monsters did change. Even their pictures. I mean, like the orc, for example, went from a porcine orc.
Big face.
Yeah, pig face to something else.
Well, pig face to more just a tusked human.
Yeah.
Humanoid appearance, which kind of is to me less interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
I've seen some here lately. I've seen some really good orc depictions with the pig face.
Yeah.
Most of the orc faces that are basically just a tusk, but it's essentially human, maybe a little different. Sometimes they have slots for the nose.
Yeah.
Most of them look very similar.
Right.
And not all that engaging or interesting, and not in my opinion. Got to have the pig face.
The kobold will be a big discussion too.
The what? Kobold?
Yeah, because kobold went from dogman to lizard creature. I mean, draconic creature. Third edition, they introduced them as a draconic type thing. They spoke draconic.
Yeah, I wondered about that because I couldn't remember. So they were they
were dogmen. They were kind of dogmen. But the truth is, I like the third edition rendition better. I think it added a lot more flavor. They worshiped dragons, and dragons kind of laughed at them because they were such little weenie things, and that was kind of cool.
Well, it did something different with them.
Yeah.
I mean, before you could just lump all of those humanoids into one kind of conglomeration, one thing. Beast men or whatever you want to call them, goblinoids, greenskins.
I think BCC does that. They'll kind of lump a lot of those. They'll call them beast men. They can have whatever kind of look they want. They're kind of creatures of chaos, and that jives with the old school D&D, the whole chaos versus law thing. So
yeah,
that's not so bad. Then we'll talk a little about their ecology, and gosh, that brings back the ecology articles from Dragon Magazine. Man, they were really influential. When I read those back in the day, I loved them. It'd be kind of fun to maybe dive back into some of those if I have a few, and how they influence the world. I think that'd be kind of neat to think about. And again, we're just overviewing what this is going to be tonight. We're not doing it.
Yeah. So the ecologies were fun to read.
Yes.
From what I remember of the ecology of line of articles in Dragon Magazine, they rarely introduced anything new as far as abilities or powers, but they put them into some kind of context instead of just here's a monster in a room.
Right.
Give you a little bit extra to use for them.
Yeah, and there was a string of adventures. I'm trying to remember, was it the Monster Hunters Guild that they used? They had the story for a while that they actually had a theme behind their ecology articles. Oh. Shadow and Sun. Oh crap! I forgot about Reaper Bone 6. Quick, anyone know where I can sell a kidney? Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. But anyway, and then how best to use them, and then of course our examples in our games. I mean, I'll probably have a little more there than Joe, though he's run a few games. He's played in a lot of different ones, so he might have a lot to say about other games you played in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some maybe alternative ways to use them, because
Sure.
I'm huge into what's it called? Subverting expectations, because that's kind of gotten a bit trite these
Yeah.
days.
Right.
But sometimes, I mean, one of the problems with using canned monsters from the monster manuals is people will memorize them. So, what we could do is talk about how you could take the essential elements of the monster,
Yeah.
and then just use that as a template on a set of game stats. So
Oh.
if you want a higher powered orc, there's nothing really that's essentially orc to their stat block in any of the stat blocks, except for in third edition they got rage for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But before they were just brutes, right?
Yeah.
Not Bruce's. That's a different B word.
Different.
But brutes. So I'm not sure how much you could do with that, but there's probably some monsters that you could abstract into a few essential bits, and then you could use them instead of saying that this is definitely a 5th level monster, you can use it elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily need to be aquatic or stuff like that.
Or what if we did a kind of a la 13th Age, and we gave orcs are maybe this, or perhaps they're this, or perhaps they're this. We could do like three interesting, try them with three interesting options to.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard. It's hard pressed. I mean, we're talking about some of the monsters. I'll mention a few of them tonight, not all of them that I have on the slate. I have a big, thick slate of ones I would like to consider for the top 10. Joe can add more if he wants. But the orcs probably going to make a pretty good run of the top 10. I'd find it hard for him not to be there.
They have a lot of utility.
Yeah, they really do.
They're a good monster for the PCs to kick around, because they're the bad guys, or they're supposed to be the bad guys, no matter what the weirdos say these days.
Yeah. I think I used a word wrong. I don't think etymology was the right word I think I should have just used history.
Yeah, etymology is just a word.
That's a cool sounding word, but that's not what I want to use. I think, and I want to shout it again to John and Hannah Large at Red Dice Diaries. They do a really great example. I think John often goes down and talks about the mythological history where these monsters came from, and that's always fascinating to hear. And Hannah does a really good job herself of giving some cool alternatives. They're both really good at that. So I hope they don't mind that we step on their toes a little bit. We're doing some variant of that, but I'm sure they're fine with it.
I don't remember that Undying thing.
What is that? And biggest, they also had Undying, which means they can go to negative con for a round. Who's they? Oh, the orcs. No, I do. He's right.
From what, 3rd edition?
Yes, they could fight him to the negative.
Maybe it's just been so long with Pathfinder that
might have been a Pathfinder version too. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't. And of course, for most of that run, I was a player, not a DM. So if you ever spilled the beans on that one kind of escaped me all the way.
Yeah, it was like they could go for, like you said, a round or two or whatever it was, go full attack and then die or something. So that made them pretty cool. Yeah, I think that'll be a good plan. So, you want to share should we share some of the monsters that we're thinking of, or do you want to just let that be a surprise?
No, we're going to tease.
You're going to tease them. Okay.
We're going to tease.
Yeah.
So we have a few listed here. Yeah. The Tarrasque.
I know that will probably be a hot button thing. I'm biased. I do love him. I think it's a great place for him. I think he caught my imagination from the first time I saw him. And granted, utility, you could argue, not very high. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed, being a math guy, to giving a numerical ranking to each category and see how the monsters fall out.
Sure. The Tarrasque actually does have utility, and it's not necessarily in CR or whatever.
Right.
It's as a plot device, which people don't like to associate with games. Some people don't. Right. But it can be part of the scenery, so to speak. Yeah. Legends, maybe 2 or 3 times during a party's career before they discover it or run across it. They hear legends or hear of its effects on the game world from afar, or maybe see it wreak havoc in their maybe 5th level, or low level or mid level. Still mid level, not tough enough to face down a Tarrasque. You couldn't even get close to it without fleeing in fear anyway. But it's good for that. If the game world that you're running, if you want to have the Tarrasque show up at some point, it could be like the force of nature that everybody hears about, but doesn't, nobody lived to really tell any upfront details.
Regular undead version, says Martinson. Yes, please. This
I think it's fine by itself.
Yeah. Bruce says, Randy, you need to look at the setting Salt and Wounds and see how an evil city sprung up around a pin to a mountain Tarrasque. Ooh, interesting.
Pinned by whom?
Ooh.
That would be interesting to find out.
Patrick must know a little bit about the history. Bah, French monsters. I'll pass.
Oh, it's just a French word. It might be a monster that comes from French legend, but
right,
something that's scary, I wouldn't imagine came from there.
Yeah. So what about the next one? Say giant kind, and I lump ogres and trolls in there. We may not want to. We may want to separate that out.
But ogres are kind of like giants.
Well, they are. In most versions of the game, they are giant kind.
Yeah.
And trolls are a little different, but they're definitely gigantic. They're big for size.
They all have their appeal. That whole.
Yeah.
I mean, just grabbing a giant figure and putting it on the table in front of the players, you're like, ha!
Gets their attention for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Giants are day wreckers.
Yeah, they are. So yeah, they'll probably make an appearance. So either one type or the whole thing. And well, they got a whole module named after them against the Giants. So it's going to be hard pressed not to be hard to keep them out of the top 10, I think. What's that?
Bruce, the entire city sprung up. The city around the pinned Tarrasque, which I would like to see. The entire city sprung up around the 13 tied javelins. Probably the javelins that pinned it. It's not just one thing, it's 13 things, which makes sense. It's big. And the alchemy market, sure, was huge, spelled Y-U-G-E for those on the audios. Yes, I need that giant blue pill with the funky red slime on the side of it. So this reminds me of, what's the name of the kaiju movie?
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim had that market of kaiju parts and pieces and stuff.
That was that was
probably the best part, I think, of the movie.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Yeah. So what about like what do you call these? The various.
It was French.
Yeah, from Provence, southern France.
Provence. Southern France, named by Saint Martha.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it looks like what's this one? No, that's not the one. James Seymour, the Tarrasque, he made a comment about would the Tarrasque survive re-entry from orbit? The Tarrasque would not be half dead from a 20d6 plummet, even if you PF2E it and suffered a 2-mile fall of 10,000 feet, would make it suffer 10k of damage, but it would survive.
Mm-hmm. It would.
It would if you did not. Is it immune to falling damage, or is it just
no? It just would end up living because in order to kill it, you have to do X, and falling 1,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet doesn't do it. Exposing it to the vacuum of space, unless I'm wrong.
Well, I tell you what, I think the 13th age version of the Tarrasque, I don't want to spill the beans today because I want to use that as part of our discussion if he makes it, because Joe may argue he doesn't want the Tarrasque on the top 10 list, and I'm not that strongly for it, but I do kind of like him. 13th age does a hell of a job. I think the best job I've ever seen of running the Tarrasque as an event.
Right, instead of a foe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a force of nature rather than something you kill. You drive it off, or if you defeat it, it just means it's gone dormant or something.
What about the human wads? The humanoids. I'm talking orcs, goblins, bugbears, gnolls, kobolds. Pick your favorite little critter that comes in mass at low level characters and sometimes medium level characters, usually in the game. Um, I think we've talked about how orcs clearly have a place. Goblins have a place. Bugbears, hobgoblins, some would fall under goblins. Gnolls, I like gnolls. I've used
Yeah.
gnolls more than I've used kobolds.
These guys are great for fighting at night and ambushing the PCs while they sleep.
And usually fighting bunches of them.
Yeah. Bunches of them at night because they don't like the sunlight. Orcs aren't supposed to like the sunlight either.
That's true if you go Tolkien on us.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah. Then, of course, you got to bring in the outsiders, in particular demons, devils, celestials. There's probably a place for maybe one of them. I would say I would probably lean toward demons over any of them, would probably deserve a place. Almost every fantasy game you see has some variant of demons in it.
I personally think they should be the same thing, demons and devils. They're just underworld creatures, but I understand the utility in making them slightly different so that there's some animosity that maybe the PCs can use to escape bad situations.
Not to go to Planescape on you guys tonight, but that was one of the coolest things about Planescape, the blood war, the battle between the demons and the devils, lawful evil versus chaotic evil, and how they both would use the daemons who were neutral evil to help, basically as mercenaries would sell themselves to either side. And there was a lot to it. I thought it was really cool, but it may not be as iconic as just a demon, so we could talk about that. Then we got dragons, of course. I mean, I don't see how we can't have dragons. That seems
gotta have dragons.
Gotta have dragons. They are the game's named after them. So
as much as we were talking about parts of a Tarrasque, dragons has been part of the D&D experience. Finding bits, finding eggs, and all of that. Right, I was wondering about that.
No, that's true. Huh, Legion? I don't remember where that was. Where was that mentioned?
There was the giant article or series of articles or set of articles in that Dragon magazine that talked about Satan and different things, demons and devils. It might have been mentioned in that.
Well, there was Ed Greenwood's series of articles. I know that he talked about the Dukes of Hell.
Yeah.
But that may be where Legion's talking about it. He might recall it from a book. I don't remember. Maybe it's Monster Manual from
second edition Monster Manual?
Yeah, that's what he says. It says, I know Tui talks about it a lot. I'll check. Okay. All right. That's interesting to know. Yeah, maybe the Manual of the Plane. That's a good point. Could have been in the Manual of the Planes. I know that Planescape gave it a lot of love in the form of a full box set, which was incredible. Lots of cool ways to make them even worse than they already are. So I really like that. Undead.
Duh.
That's big. It's a broad. Yeah. So are there some undead in your mind that might creep up into there? Is it going to be a group? I mean, I don't know if we want to give them a nod as a group, or we're going to say, hey, liches, vampires, skeletons, zombies.
You can separate undead into intelligent and unintelligent.
Yeah.
And the unintelligent undead is a very small group because you've got zombies and skeletons. Even ghouls can be considered intelligent, right? Aren't they somewhat intelligent, or are they more feral?
Ghouls tend to be more feral, though I think the ghast are the smarter ones. They're the leaders of the ghouls and stuff. If I remember correctly, folks might correct me here. I don't know if that was the case. Oh, yes. The plump.
No.
Yeah, Joe's going to do that. Yeah, the plump's kind
Veto.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that, I was like, why did they waste paper on that? Why did they waste my time? And why is Patrick not wasting my time with the flump?
Because Patrick loves you, and he wants you to have some time to waste.
I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you for that bit of levity there, Patrick.
But we're going to go old school. We go the wolf in sheep's clothing. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Looks like a rabbit on a stump. I've used that on you guys before.
I sure have. The very same thing. It's there's a lot of gags like that.
Yeah.
It's just another kind of mimic, really.
Yeah, it really is. It's a gotcha monster.
And those exist. Those sorts of creatures exist in the real world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've got that fish that has the little thing in front of it.
Yeah.
It's a fisherman. Is it a fisherman?
Yeah.
It has a little dingly thing, and it's down in the deeps.
Looks like a worm.
Yeah.
So other fish come along and go, oh, tasty.
And then they get eat. They get et.
Larry Elliott says, unintelligent undead. Sounds like politician and actors.
Oh, yeah.
That's some truth for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also with the previous category of demons and devils.
Correct. Depending on who they have sold their soul to today.
Correct.
So
James Seymour.
What's James saying?
Oh, crap. There it is. Looking up which is more recommended. Oh, okay. I thought he was joining the crowd of just having us in the background.
Oh my!
Instead of fully joining us in the full experience.
That's okay, James. We still love you, dude. Oh, Bruce the flail snail.
Well, it wasn't really a mimic. It just had a weapon on it, right?
Yeah, can smack you with it. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but there's a couple of other ones in the real world that look like one thing, and they're mimics. I think they're actually called mimics, and they mimic one thing when they're something else. Not all of them are of a carnivorous sort, but some of them use it as camouflage to trick their predators into thinking they're something else. Like a lot of them are leaves or sticks or stuff like that. When they're just bugs that won't harm you at all. But yeah, and you have I don't know. A mimic isn't probably the trapdoor spider is probably not that really because it's not different. It just creates a trap. And then there's a Venus flytrap, which looks like a nice little plant, but it will eat you.
Yeah, that's going on the list, Patrick. I forgot about that.
Oh, doppelgangers. Yeah, you've used doppelgangers.
Oh, I used to love them.
I used to use them all the time.
Yeah. And another thing I used to use, I don't know if you remember this, but hydras and chimeras. I used to love them with a passion.
Chimeras are cool.
Yeah, chimeras are very cool. Owlbear. You know, maybe he might make it just as he's in every stinking module.
Right. Well,
somebody
so you can
encounter.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can have a doppelganger posing as an owlbear to scare you off. Anyway, there's a lot of monsters that are chimeric that aren't called that. Like the owlbear is kind of a chimera because it's a mishmash of monsters.
Yeah,
and there's a lot. Anglerfish. Thank you, Mortensen.
Yeah, thanks. Mortensen's brother.
Yes.
Yeah. Where do you think slimes and fungi and oozes?
I wouldn't necessarily call them monsters too much. They're
more.
They
call them hazards in I think third edition.
Well, they were initially monsters, and then they made them into hazards, and that's kind of weird too. But I guess you can call them monsters. They are very tough to deal with. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it can be deadly. You could have a. Oh.
Yeah, he's on the list. Well, he's on my extended list. The rust monster may or may not make an appearance. He is pretty classic. Our buddy Larry, who's kind of new to the game of D&D, new in the sense only a couple years, we had introduced him and Mudsword to rust monsters. He got the joy of realizing how incredibly crappy they are.
Well, along with some oozes, because the green slime, that can live underwater.
Oh yes, it can.
Right. And the classic presentation is walking in a puddle down the lane in a dungeon, and now you're missing your feet.
Yeah, do you want to kill your players? Here's how you do it.
Yeah, and get punched in the nuts at the same time.
I actually remember you were in that group that did that. You guys walked down a hallway, and I said, "Well,"
I had a thief that lost his legs all the way up almost, and then of course he keeled over after that. But
right. Harpies, gargoyles, cockatrices, medusas, basilisks. That's a lot of iconic type creatures, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you could probably group these.
Yeah,
and maybe get some more, like with the oozes and whatnot. You could just call them gotcha monsters because a lot of people consider them that they're gotchas.
Yeah. Well, the mimic would be a gotcha monster.
Yeah, mimic, rust monster.
There'd be a lot. Yeah, rust monster was created as a gotcha monster. I've heard a little bit about Gygax did that on purpose. Getting tired of lycanthropes. Wow, the werewolf and lycanthropes. That would be a category.
We used to when we were in Charlestown. Lycanthropes figured very heavily in our adventures, but it's not so much for the longest.
No, not really. Shadow says gargoyles are some of his favorites. I'm a big fan of gargoyles. Oh, here's one that Joe knows I love: golems and constructs.
Constructs in general, sure.
Yeah,
They
that's
get
one.
a lot of. You can get a lot of mileage out of a construct
Yeah, you can.
because they're
Elementals,
mutant. They're yep, elementals, and in the same vein as constructs, elementals and constructs are usually immune to a truckload of things.
right?
I mean, what do you do with a big ball of fire except burn?
Yeah, burn. Hit him with water, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just some of the ones. I think that's a good chunk of what we talked about. I don't know if any others deserve mention, though. I have at least a couple I don't want to say because I think they're pretty interesting. I'll be intrigued to see if people would agree with me. Oh, well, let's mention that. How about the oddballs? These are the ones, but they're iconic. Beholder, Mind Flayer, Gith Yankee.
Right. Those are the definitely D&D branded
Yeah,
monsters.
right.
Those are I like them as I like using them, and I like it makes the it usually makes an adventure more interesting if there's a beholder there, because why would a beholder be there?
Yes.
So there's usually, I mean, they're not just randomly around.
Yeah. And they're not guard dogs, unlike the D&D movie where they made it seem like they were guard dogs.
Right. No.
Almost beyond stupid.
I mean, they're way too powerful and intelligent to be someone's slave.
Yeah, get out of here. I mean, maybe if you were a 25th level wizard, you could bend one to your will, but that would be a real pain in the butt keeping him focused.
I mean, there's a lot of beholder like creatures that you could use in that vein. What's the one with the two? With the two
What do you mean?
spectator?
Oh, the spectator. Yeah, he's not evil. He's lawful neutral generally.
Right,
He is summoned to guard treasures and stuff.
right, right. But it's beholder like, yeah.
Bruce is tapping into part of my little secret thing I haven't mentioned yet. But awakened rust monster with more than 2 levels of rogue, and it has evasion and uncanny dodge. Oh, geez. Sneak attack, rust monster. I like that, Bruce.
You're cheating.
Yeah, good cheat.
Also, you just leave. You don't. There's nothing. A rust monster isn't generally antagonistic.
No, he just smells your goodies and he wants to eat your
Yeah,
ferris.
so you throw a few gold or whatever, or a piece of metal. If you happen to have just a random piece of metal, like an axe or something,
Yeah.
you throw it on the ground and you just go. It's not going to chase you.
I'm not a chemistry guy. I believe they like ferrous metals like iron over gold and stuff. So
Yes, they do.
you're
They
wearing
do.
plate mail armor, your gold's not going to get its attention.
No, so you, like I said, an axe or some maybe rusted sword you picked up. It's not too rusty. Something that it would be interested in, and you just go because you don't want to attack it.
Yeah.
Most of your attacks are going to be worthless.
This comment's doubly interesting by Shadow and Son. One, I love the Vargoul. By the way, RDD, Red Dice Diaries, did do a thing on the Vargoul. The scariest monster in the book is the Vargoul. Why are they scary? This is a kind of a 1 or 2E interpretation because they do 1 to 4 points of permanent non-healable damage. Only a wish will restore it. That is true. What if we had another segment of discussion of really scary monsters? Meaning if we like in terms of mechanics and how they affect players, we can
Clay Golem.
Oh yeah, he did the same thing. He did a 17th level cleric to heal him back in first edition to heal the hit points he did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of those were funny because, I do have a rap for being a killer DM, but the truth is, I remember doing that the first time. I didn't realize I was just running the module. And then when I smacked him, he goes, "Oh, we're down to 8 hit points." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you killed it, or you guys killed it, you ran off." And well, he goes, "We're gonna heal up." I'm like, "Yeah." And then I go, "Wait a minute. It says you can't heal up unless you have a 17th level cleric." What? I'm a 7th level fighter and I have 2 hit points? Yep. How long? Forever.
Forever.
You find a 17th level cleric.
So I mean, you could just say, well, sorry about your luck, make a new character, or play with 2 hit points, which no, and then or you just use it as an opportunity for adventure. So
yeah,
especially now, you don't. There's good ways and bad ways to do that.
Yes.
The bad way is the 17th level cleric says, if you do this, then I will. No. That's the bad way. Yeah. The good way is, okay, I will do this, then I will put a geas on you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and then we have a deal. And then if you break your word, you will suffer the geas.
Well, and of course, depending on the cleric, he might just say, "I'll do this for you." And now you will do this
favor.
And if you end up not doing it, I mean, he may say, "Well, I mean, depending on his personality, he goes, all right, you got me this time. I hope you don't need help anymore. And then
Right.
word passes, these guys can't be trusted. Next thing you know, you can't find healing anywhere. No clerics of this order want to have anything to do with you. And of course, they should probably be the most prolific and large number of clerics that you could find who are generally kind and willing to help. And like, that would be cool. Yeah, I think I would want a character maybe if I did that now and that happened. I would want that fighter. I would prefer the player to play that 2 hit point fighter, but not for months and months. I would make him work his way out of the dungeon, maybe have an encounter that was at least tough enough to challenge him where he might have to get. I mean, it would be great if the wizard had to protect him.
Right. So there's a little table turning.
Yeah. And then when they get back to town, someone could tell him, yeah, there's this clear. In fact, he just passed through. He's visiting. He's preaching at the temple today. You want to go talk to him. He won't be here long. He's just staying for 24 hours. So, and you realize a 70 level cleric could word of recall back to his home anywhere.
Right.
So you show up and he's like, oh, yeah, sure. You know, you fight to get that. Maybe the rogue or the cleric works their charm and gets you a meeting with him. He's like, sure, I can do that. And you can do your Gias thing depending on his personality or whatever, you know. But yeah, none of that. Go do this great quest and I'll heal you. It's like, dude, I won't survive the quest with 2 hit points.
Yeah. So, or, you know, another bad idea is say, well, you just play a different character.
Yeah. But he's 7th level. I don't want to play a 1st level rogue.
So, but those sorts of monsters that, well, like a Bodak, you look at a Bodak in the eyes, you make a saving throw or die.
Yeah.
Save or die. Save or die.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I had a character who got bit to dust because of a Bodak.
Oh, that was cold-blooded. He was in this dark room, and Joe walked in, and then he didn't see anything, and the Bodak opened his eyes.
Yeah.
They were red. And it's like, save or die.
You see some points of light. Oh, what is that? Oh, you're dead.
Vargouls travel in packs of 1 to 20. Yikes. Do not want me to swarm with them. Thanks, Shadow.
Fireball.
Long range death on those
or
bastards.
Run real fast, but they fly. So they probably fly faster than you can run.
And they're pretty hideous too. So, like winged heads or something. Not unlike the Penningallen, which that was a great Fiend Folio monster. Yeah, so that's our plan. We got a few others we didn't mention. I think some of those guys will make it into the top 10. We'll probably decide whether we want to go groups or not. If we go groups, it'd probably be easier. But I kind of want to do singles just to really put ourselves in a. Oh, Larry Elliott.
So far, my favorite monster is any I just killed.
Right. Truth, son. Truth. Oh, I forgot this one. I'll get the Yankees from the book TSR. Yeah, that's true.
What does he mean by that?
They didn't initially like the idea of the Fiend Folio at all. TSR,
it was the best monster they had at the time.
I thought so too. I love the creatures in the Fiend Folio, and you guys were. You remember when I would pull it out, you guys would be like, "Oh no, it's a Fiend Folio," because they had the craziest monsters. But James later on gives another comment. The Sturge, he's not on my list. Dang it.
Okay, I would not say as a player that's my favorite monster. That's one of the most annoying monsters ever.
Pretty iconic though.
They're in swarms. You don't just fight 1 or 2.
Right.
They're like 8 or 10. And you got all these essentially giant mosquitoes hanging off of you at some point. You know, like, especially, and if you're a wizard, which most of the time, it hits you, it's sucking your blood out. Take 4 damage every round until they get it off of you.
Agree with Shadow here. Fiend Folio was cool, but the artwork was kind of weak, kind of weird. Piercer, yes. How about Lurker Above?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. Those are good.
Yeah, those are. They are monsters that can communicate the living nature of the dungeon. So you have these creatures that like a piercer that looks like a. I always get them backwards. Tight.
Is that from the top? Mite from the bottom? I don't remember. We do have this thing called Google, but who cares? We're just going to wing it.
Yeah, we're going to wing it. So the stalactite.
The one on the roof. It would
on the
roof and fall down on you
and then eat you.
Yes.
That's their plan.
And try to pierce you, like stab you through the chest, whole body, and then eat you. Yeah.
Hang on tight. Stand up mighty. Yeah. Hang on tight. Stalactite. So we got the right word, but we didn't know how we got there. We got the right one though.
We did. Stalactite. We lucked
You did
out.
say tight.
I did.
So
tight.
when they hit you, did it necessarily mean that they had impaled you?
No. I think it was a damage thing. I think
Yeah.
their first attack was brutally high, like a 3d4, 3d6 damage, 3d8 damage, and then they could bite. And they move really slow. Like I think
Yeah.
like in the old game, it was
It's a crustacean, essentially.
could hardly move, but they were deadly from dropping from the top. So if you had a cavern just full of those, you imagine PCs running and dodging just dozens and dozens of those bad boys.
Because once it hits the ground, if it didn't kill you with its hit, it doesn't have an attack once it hits the ground, right?
It could bite if you stick your hand in its mouth, but you guys could beat the crap out of it once it hits the ground. But
it had a high armor class, didn't it?
Pretty high. But if they hit it, they're kind of rocky. If they hit, if you have 3 or 4 dozen, you're not going to stay around to kill them.
Right.
You guys will be running through that cavern. If you're in the middle of it, because they're going to wait till you're in the middle, you're going to be running like crazy just to get the hell out of there because you don't want to get hit by 3 or 4 of those dudes.
Right. So those and the garbage monsters, the OTF or however you pronounce that.
I always called it Adiug, but it might
Adiug. Who knows how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
And that's another thing we might talk about whenever we come across it is the stupid, unpronounceable names. I don't know. I don't understand. The one that starts with an I.
Chittle or something. Yeah. Roper. Oh, yeah. We come up with some good ones here. The Roper.
That's another one because it looks like the stalagmite.
Dude, is this true in Pathfinder? Oh, in 3X, yeah. In 3rd edition, dude, they had that 60-foot range touch, D8 strength drain, brother.
Yeah, they were nasty.
Nasty, yeah.
But they had good treasure.
Yeah, they did. They were loaded.
Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
They had good treasure.
Almost
if you could beat one and then rip it open, because you had to get, because it was all inside of it.
Yeah, I believe its goal would have gems and stuff, but they were known for collecting magical goodies. Yeah.
Huh?
What's that?
What's that, Mr. Shadow? It's a Atakill.
Oh, there's the story from James. Says, I understand it, Film was a book from GW, Games Workshop that TSR was contractually obligated to print. That sounds right. GW was their UK distributor. Yeah, that sounds something like that. And they didn't want to print it. Dude, they had Loth in there. They had the Drow in there. Get Yankee were in that book.
It's Games Workshop's fault.
Yes.
It's their fault that we're called racist because we like the Drow, to beat up on the Drow. That's okay. That's who everyone needs to send hate mail to.
Yes. I think the Duergar were in there. Maybe not. That might have been Monster Manual too. It's been too long.
Is that where the Underdark? Well, no, the Underdark made its appearance in a module, in the Against the Drow module, didn't it?
What's that? Yeah, I think
Underdark
so. Maybe so.
Started in the in that Against the, or it's not called Against the Drow. It's I can't remember. Is that one of the slave pits of the Undercity?
Sounds right. No, hold on. We're confusing some modules.
Well, I thought that the Drow, the Underdark was the slave pits of the Undercity. That whole Slaver series culminated with the Drow.
That was connected to the Giant series.
Oh, okay. That's how you pronounce the manta ray weirdo. Yeah, they're a
Ascent into the depths of the earth. Vault of the Drow.
Vault of the Drow. Yeah.
And what was the other one? Shrine of the Kuatoa. Yeah. So it was an Underdark, and that followed from Against the Giants, which may have been. I mean, I think they could all connect if you tried.
Now, it's not necessarily an original thought, but it's an interesting Underdark, and the Drow and all that stuff is cool. But I remember an old black and white movie, where you had some folks spelunking. They were just doing some I don't know if they were archaeologists in some cavern somewhere, but they camped, and then they got kidnapped by these subterranean dwelling humans who couldn't take sunlight. So and the way they executed people was to put them in the shaft and open it up to the sun, and it would burn them and kill them.
Oh, wow. Cold-blooded.
So, of course, when they were stupid, they put the human in there and said, here you go. They're like, didn't kill me. But it's an old show, and of course, I only remember bits of it. But it's the same thing. You have this vast underground domain, and these creatures, or they look like humans, but they are obviously different because sunlight destroys them, kills them because they're severely allergic to it.
That's, I think I remember listening to a review of a book about an old. Oh, it was gosh, who are those guys? Retro. They do retro reviews, vintage RPG podcast,
Oh,
which they're kind of wokish, but they had some good reviews, and one of them was they talked about a book where it was about that. I wonder if that was a movie version of it. Oh, there's a name, Patrick. Look at that. The
Cato
Cato
Blipas.
Blipas. Long boy swamp cow with murderous halitosis. Dude, I like those too. They were creepy. Was that a fiend folio beast? Probably. That seems
Probably. It's weird enough to have been in there.
Yeah.
It's just a cow with a long neck that kills you with its. Is it a breath weapon? I thought it was gaze.
It had a death gaze.
Death gaze.
In first edition. Yeah. I love doing that because it would have it, like it only had a 1 in 6 chance to be able to raise because its head was so big and its neck was so long. It only had a 1 in 6 chance to raise its head up. Yeah, I never killed anybody with a Catoblepas.
Only.
I wanted to, if only. Oh, there's another monster I didn't think about, not just Catoblepas. What about the?
Just original monster manual according to Shadow.
Okay, fair enough. What about? The swampy creature.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Shadow and Son clarified his thing.
Oh.
It's a kill.
Oh, it's Atakill. Okay.
That's how you pronounce that long string of syllables that no one should ever pronounce. It's kind of Cthulhu-ish because it is a fish monster and it's evil and it has mental powers and you can't pronounce its name. So,
how about the swamp thing? I forgot about that. Shambling Mound. Yeah.
Oh, that was one of your favorite monsters ever.
Yeah,
because they're pretty immune to a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, I seem to lean on immune to a bunch of crap monsters.
Sure. When you have a bunch of folks who know what they're doing.
Yep.
And
make your life miserable. Think outside the box, boys.
But that's what you got to do. If you have inexperienced players, you can just throw the regular stuff at them. Who cares? Mm-hmm. If you have people who've played the game enough, and have squad tactics down pat, you need to up your game as a DM.
Yeah, you need a swarm of awakened rust monsters with 2 levels of rogue. I totally agree with Bruce.
Say that again. What was that?
I said a swarm of awakened rust monsters with 2 levels of rogue. Yeah, I agree with Bruce.
No, a swarm.
Yeah. All right.
Well, yeah, you got to throw in something different. If you're, again, like I was saying, if you got a bunch of players who are new to the game or just aren't all that interested in winning, let's say, they're just there along for the ride and to enjoy the story. Well, you don't have to
tactically, focus.
They're not tactically focused. Then you don't need to worry about non-standard monsters. But against a group of folks who have played a lot and know the monsters and know their tactics well, even if you don't remember specific monster powers, good tactics are good tactics. Yeah. Doesn't matter. The DM needs to up his game and not cry about it.
Right.
It's a good thing. It makes the game better for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, are you saying like when players use better tactics and some monsters become quote unquote obsolete? That's okay. Yeah. Obsolete in the sense that it's a bunch of orcs, attack pattern delta. Yeah, that's not so bad.
Or I mean, sometimes you get to a level and either you add character levels or hit dice to a monster, depends on which version you're talking about. I would just add hit dice. I wouldn't add character levels to a monster necessarily. You can add some hit dice and a couple of powers, and you got something new that they're not expecting. Take away one of their vulnerabilities, and you got a ringer. It's a ringer.
Yeah, you guys used to say that all the time. It's a ringer. That's correct. Roll initiative, wuss bags.
Right.
So yeah,
just an orc.
It's just an orc.
It's only one. There's only one. All by himself.
How about the Nilbog?
I thought that was kind of dumb.
The goblin that healed when you... Yeah, that's total gamey, dude. That's gamey stupid. It might be a real thing, but it's beyond dumb.
What do you mean a real thing? You something from legend?
Yes, that's what I mean by real thing.
Uh,
No, I've got one right here. Would you like to meet it? Oh, by the way,
yeah.
dig it. Do you see
I can see your nostrils.
the bookshelf of ultimate power?
Oh, you got it all done up, huh?
Almost all my stuff is up now. So I got room. So I got a few more books that's going to come in from the pod.
All conveniently organized so that when I come there and take it tomorrow night,
you will know where to go directly to first edition, second edition, wherever you need to go. Go right to it. Yeah.
Like a library.
Like a library. Yeah. So anyway. All right. I think that's all I want to talk about with Monster Mash. What about you?
I think what we need to do to make this kind of topic our own, and we like Red Dice Diaries take on the presentation of the monsters and whatnot, but we need to put our own spin on it. So we'll have to think about that some.
Yeah.
One way is I think I know I mentioned something, I just can't remember now.
Yeah, Shadow, mine is too. I do have to admit to I'm sad, but I'm not. I got into biking several years back, and I sold my first and second edition stuff and basic stuff. I sold almost all of it. I kept a handful of things, and it would have the amount of stuff I had would have nearly filled that up again. I mean, Joe can remember I had a ludicrous amount of gaming stuff, all the box sets from second edition, which now I wish I had kept it. But I do have a secondary. This is not the gaming room. This is the storage, partially storage, and I got another one. The guys that are on here that played knows I'm going to have my minis in the other room, just painted up. But yeah, it's ridiculous how it gets out of hand sometimes. But man, we just love this stuff. I can't help it. I hate to get rid of it. I wish I hadn't done that clean sweep. That was a bit of a regret now, but not fully. I do love the bike I bought.
Right, and I don't have nearly that much, and I don't really care to.
Right.
I might at some point reacquire my first edition collection, and I've got some. I could get more, but I
don't have the player's handbook anymore. I do have the monster manual, the DMG from 1E. I have the core set from 2E. I have the core set from all the editions, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes, I got 4 really cheap, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to own it. So screw it.
I was also thinking about perhaps reacquiring some second edition, at least the core books. I don't have those anymore.
Yeah,
somebody just came in.
I'm playing shape. That's about it. I had all the really. Gosh, I hate what I used to have. All right, let's move on to the next segment then.
Let me see if I can get Sparky to sit up here so you guys can see him. Come here, buddy.
Oh, let's see, Mr. Cool.
Come here, Sparky. Come here, buddy.
Sparkmeister. He's usually happy to get up in your lap.
Yes, and he'll. Sometimes all I have to do is sit back.
Yeah.
Just step up, but I think he doesn't want to.
He
doesn't want to perform on command. Hey,
you tell me. You don't tell me. What do you think you're doing?
Come here.
Tell me what to do.
Come here, buddy. He just wants me to pat him on his butt.
Butt patter.
Let me see. I can. There he is.
There's the pup.
Sparky.
Look up here, buddy. How you doing?
Let me see. I'm not good with pointing this.
There he is.
There we go. There's Sparky.
Yes.
Sorry. Hopefully I didn't give anybody problems out there watching it.
Right.
But yes.
Dizziness.
Good buddy. He's a good doggy. Oh, that's why he got up. My wife got up out of bed to use the bathroom. And he got bored by himself. Now he'll go back in there.
Yeah.
Sparky came in. We put him on stream.
Oh, your wife hates your gaming collection. How could you hate it? It's beautiful. She doesn't. Oh, man.
It takes up valuable space she wants to do other things with.
Wrong. She's wrong. They're wrong. This is valuable. This space is being used appropriately. So, go your shadow. It happens. Gun collection.
Hold on.
Yep. All right.
Oh, hold on. My wife wants to say hi. Come on.
Oh. Wow. Hey. Hi there. Like your new hairdo. Hmm. All right.
She likes squirrels.
She does. Let's move on to the next topic, shall we?
Yeah.
Section 3. When is it okay? So we got a couple of little short topics here, maybe short. When is it okay to TPK? Total party kill or total party wipe? When the adventure ends due to every PC being killed. Why do they happen, Joe? Why, oh, why does this happen to us?
Sometimes it's just the way the dice fall. Sometimes.
Yeah. So it's the dice fault sometime. Is it ever the players, the GM's fault?
Sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you make mistakes and things happen. Sometimes the players. It's never the PC's fault.
Oh, the player's fault.
The player's fault.
Okay.
Because you could blame a PC, but it's really the player that runs them. So the player, the PC can't do anything about the player, so it's the player's fault. Player can make dumb decisions.
Yep.
Or could make a decision. Well, it wouldn't be his or her fault though. Sometimes you make a dumb decision.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a bow. I just use swords.
Oh gosh, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So sometimes that you can do that, and the thing that TPKs a party is a aerial monster that you can't fight because you decided not to bring a bow when you could have. Now it's one thing if you're being kept poor by someone like Max and you can't afford a bow and a sword, so you have to pick one.
Oh, does Max? Oh, that's right. Max is like me. He likes to keep you guys poor.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good.
I think he's a little worse because we usually had enough money to equip. Just
I was doing it wrong then. I better talk to Max.
you might want to take some notes.
So bad player decisions. Can you remember one? Does one step up in your mind?
Well, that's the first one I could think of. I didn't bring a bow.
Oh, you remember that happened to you particularly, or what?
I don't remember if it resulted in a TPK though. So I know it usually resulted in everybody going, "What are you doing? I don't have a bow." Anyway, bad decision that resulted in a TPK. I can remember when making bad decisions ended up just my character dying.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a TPK being a result of anybody's one bad decision, but that's just a bad memory on my part. I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah. Patrick says, now we know Patrick has a different view than us a little bit. TPK when the party is belligerently stupid, regardless of all the red flags the DM waves. Is that the only time you would say, Patrick? Because I think there's many times where I would be okay with it. There's several situations where I would be okay with the TPK.
Even when it's just the dice.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because that's the game. The game is the result. What happens at the table is the result of the dice. If you interfere with that too much, then it just becomes, whatever your bias is.
Could the DM, this might tweak some people's feelings on how the game is designed, but could bad adventure design? I mean, I can tell you one for sure.
Okay. It's hard to point out a bad adventure design would be, it's a first level adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You have an ancient huge red dragon in there for some reason.
Yeah. Sending them to the dungeon where the dragon is on purpose. That's their quest, not to kill the dragon, but to do the dungeon. And then you put a big red dragon in there. Now, if you play it in such a way, he's like, I'm not going to kill you, but maybe you got some reason for them meeting the dragon. And he decides not to kill them in some way, or maybe they can avoid it. That's okay. Or they should. You set it up as a way. I mean, a lot of folks would say the world's dangerous. You can run into stuff like that, but
well, it depends on how it's presented.
Yeah.
I mean, if an ancient huge red dragon isn't something you're just going to turn the corner and poof, it's there. Not necessarily. I mean, right. If you run things like that, fine, I guess. But
right.
I think it's weird.
I ran a 3rd edition game Saturday when I was talking about, and I had an adventure that was written for 5th level characters, and I decided it had been a long time since I played 3E. I would follow their design notes, and they said if characters are 6th level, you should bump the following monsters up in the following way. And so I did. And it was clearly, I mean, I had a TPK. It was now, I don't think that's the only reason I had a TPK, but there was a part of it that was tough. I mean, it was really, really too hard for the characters, and maybe it was just the group of characters that were there. It's possible. A lot of fighter types, nothing else, and had a cleric, I guess, a wizardy dude that wasn't too wizardy. So I think the DM can plan things in such a way.
It can be as much of a DM's fault as a player's fault. I mean, not any one thing can be both. I'm just saying you can lay any particular TPK can be the fault of either. You can't give anybody carte blanche. It's never the DM's fault. No, it can be.
Yeah. Patrick says, I hate TPKs, especially when they're designed. Joyce and I had a long-running game in a TPK because the GM got bored and intention. Okay, well, that's different, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a DM.
Definitely a DM intention. Here's a good one now. To Bruce says, let's go in the portal. I actually have an example there. I had some about 10th to 12th level 2nd edition characters. We're going to Dragonspear Castle in the Forgotten Realms, if that means anything to anybody. But they were going to a portal, going to a room, and they were searching it out, and they found this dark portal. And they couldn't see beyond it, and they threw a rope through, and the rope went in and then fell, like it was cut off. And for some reason, they weren't thinking, and they just said, "Well, we hopped through." And the next guy, okay, you hear zip, you hear zip, okay, I hopped through, zip, zip, zip. Guess what it was, Joe?
Sphere of Annihilation.
Sphere of Annihilation, correct. It was hidden inside the portal, and it wasn't a portal; it was just hidden in the darkness there with darkness over it. And so you say, is that bad game design? No, that's stupid playing. That was not paying attention.
Yeah. It
was the beginning of the game, and I gave them a redo. But I mean, the players were like, "What happened?" And I told them. And at first, they're starting to complain, and one of them goes, "No, he described the rope as being perfectly cut, and we didn't pay attention to that." And I'm like, "Correct, sirs. that was a legit kill." So yeah.
I think I was in that group.
Were you? Did you play? Okay, yeah, maybe.
That sounds very familiar.
And I was even like, "Are you going through?" Yeah, I go through. You? Okay. And I'm looking at you like, okay, next guy? Yeah, all right. Well, you're all dead. What? And then I'm like, what? The game's over. Well, we started over and we figured we had a good time, but it was like, man.
So yeah, and the thing is,
that's not bad design. That's dumb luck, right?
Yeah. We did the correct procedure in investigating it and ignored the results.
Yeah. And I think it was later in the evening. We might have been tired. We were young, though. We were used to playing at 9 o'clock till 3 in the morning. So,
and you make new characters.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, you do.
And that's what people don't like. There's a lot of people who don't like that.
I used the TPK this weekend, and I'd be interested to know what you think of this. And people might disagree with it. I used it as a teaching moment. My players were two young boys, 9 and 11. Their father, another friend of ours. The father and the friend were very experienced players. One of the boys is while he's young, he's very, very bright, gifted mathematically, able to create characters, understands the idea of RPGs. The other one is easily distracted, and the boys were just not with it. The distracted one was hardly paying attention at all. The one that was really smart, unfortunately, was too smart for his own good. He had a character that wanted to kind of go off and do his own thing with the right idea to quote unquote save the princess, but he left a fighter and a cleric all by themselves against a whole bunch of opponents. And he was a wizardy dude that didn't cast his spells hardly at all. I was like, I'm just running it as is.
Yeah.
Well, I let it happen, and they got beat down and killed. I even rolled for morale, even though that's not written. And the monsters, even at the end, decided to stay. And when they're getting beat down a little bit, but they had at one point they had the cleric 4-1. Why would they leave? They had him 4-on-1. And so
there's no reason for that.
There's no reason. And they took him down. So, welcome, Ironcaster.
Hello. Yes. And that's something good to do.
Is that a good thing? For young people, I mean, I've played with these young boys a couple of times. I've been used kid gloves a couple of times, but they're ready. They've been playing enough. It's time to take the kid gloves off.
Oh yeah, because character death is part of the game. If they never experience that, once it happens, they're like, "Oh, it needs to be part of your experience. If your characters aren't dying, you're getting a half experience because you're not really learning how to play very well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine someone playing D&D for very long, or role playing games in general for very long, and their characters not dying, and them learning a lot about good tactics and how to play.
Yeah.
In that vein.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, D&D is about overcoming conflicts. And if you always come out shining, then your conflicts are probably too easy. And you're not really learning the strengths of your characters and how to think your way out of a situation. If all you do is run.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to run.
Back in the early 90s, early 90s, when I was at Gen Con, I had an experience too where I had a group of players. Long story short, they're about 7th level, and they have access. They've got the MacGuffin. ADHD players unite. We can't pay attention. Squirrel. That's true. But the players were at Gen Con, so I got a random group of players, and they had completed the mission. They had saved. It was basically a save the princess adventure, and they had to get through a portal to get out of a level of hell they had snuck into, and they were being chased by, for those that know, various lords of Ravenloft, including Strahd, Aslan, Harkon Lucas, the Wolfweir Lord. Anyway, and I was like, to me, it was like, this is overwhelming odds. You can't win this.
Mm-hmm.
And they just said, we're going to fight. And at the end, they got slaughtered, and I let it happen. And one of the guys was upset. He goes, well, you put it against us. We thought we should fight it. I mean, and I remember even back then, this is during 2nd edition, I'm like, you've been trained that way? That everything you see, you can fight and win? He goes, no, just at a con game. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought for a while, maybe I was doing it wrong. But
or maybe that's just their experience at the con. People use kid gloves, which I kind of understand, but kind of don't. You pay for the experience. So, they
were there. It was at the very end of 4 hours, so it wasn't like they got shortchanged. I didn't feel bad.
Right. Sure. But I can imagine the mentality of some people is not to put something in so tough that there's a real good chance people will die or characters will die. But instead they use, they do a light touch so that they'll get perhaps more favorable reviews, if that's even a thing. Who knows? It sounds weird.
It was supposed to be. I mean, the idea was it was meant to be background because I'm describing them as coming toward them, but they're at the portal. They could escape, right? And they don't. They decide to fight, and I'm like, oh, okay, horde wilting.
Horde wilting, save and die.
Right, that's what it was. So,
I remember that happening. That phrase coming out of your mouth multiple times,
right.
Not the same session, but over time.
Oh,
save and die.
Here's the funny thing: our buddy Darren was running the same adventure next to me, like a couple of tables down. And when I went over to go, dude, you're not going to believe what happened. He goes, you're not going to believe mine either. He had a TPK. They did the exact same thing.
And so maybe it is a thing with
maybe it was
at that point, at that time.
Crap.
The convention way to do things is to, let people live instead of, teach them better things.
I mean, I had a paladin who was super heroic. I could imagine the paladin hanging back because Strahd was uncomfortably close. I could imagine the paladin saying, I'm going to hold the Strahd off while you guys get away, and him getting killed, but to save the party. I did envision that, but I never in my wildest dreams thought the whole party would be just like, let's just stay and fight them all. I mean, oh, okay, weird.
They wouldn't. Just one of those. They're the lords of
Ravenloft, and they knew it because the lords of Ravenloft were trying to. There had been what's called a grand conjunction.
Sure.
They had a 24-hour pass to get out of Ravenloft, and they were trying to get to Sigil, where they could not be taken back by the 7 hours.
And they were 5th level?
7th.
Seventh. You were 7th.
As was an 18th level Lich, and Strahd as well. Strahd. And there was 4 or 5 others. Arijani, the Rakshasa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Domain lords.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Even a party of 20th level folks. Probably. Yeah. And there's no guarantees. And you're probably outclassed with all of them together.
Yeah, if you have a 20th level wizard, maybe, but if you don't, if you're about 14th, 15th level, I don't know if I'd stay and try that fight. That'd be dangerous.
At least you might be able to last a round or two until oh yeah, we're in over our heads. We got to go.
We got to go. Teleport time. Gather
Yeah.
around, buddies. Yeah.
Oh,
So, go ahead. What? Stay and fight seems legit. Seems legit. Yeah.
yeah. That's what we do. We stay and fight.
We stay and fight.
Not these guys. You don't fight these guys.
I think you mean kill Strahd, right? If you kiss him, he would die if you kissed him. I think he means if you kill Strahd.
Maybe that was that when you roll a 1 when you're trying to kill him and you roll a 1.
You end up kissing him.
You kiss him instead, or
like,
what was that? There was that's the whole meme.
I'm really weirded out here.
Yeah,
and the land will be like, that didn't happen.
Yeah. He got my cooties. I got him, or I got his cooties. So yeah.
Yeah, but Max, they weren't technically in Ravenloft, bud. They were in the second level of the Nine Hells, in outside Dispater's palace. So.
Well, maybe not much different.
No, but it's okay. But I mean, I just don't know why the players would be like, "Hey, let's fight these dudes. We are 7th level after all." It's like, okay, dude.
Yeah. So James Seymour says, so take it easy on new players, but seasoned adventurers are fair game. Well, the second part of that is definitely true. I would say new players, you ease them in some, but not very long.
Yeah, it's probably not good to have a couple of new players first time they play get totally destroyed.
And there are plenty of DMs who will just say, no, you're new? Okay, roll up 5 characters. Let's see how this works. You might use all of them tonight.
There's something to be said. I mean, if you're joining a table where it's like get good, okay, it is. Now, these two boys were young, but I played with them several times. It wasn't the first time, and I've never really made them suffer heavily for the consequences of some of the silly actions. But they're plenty old enough. I mean, they're pushing, 10, 11, 12. So it's time to, make smarter decisions that you can make.
Sure. We started when we were 13, so they're only a couple of years behind when we were.
Oh, and they're so far past where we were. I mean, in terms of that age, they were like, they really understand the whole. They know what D&D is. They play together. They're really pretty cool boys, but it was a tough night. So,
okay,
yeah.
Roll new characters. That's the biggest saving grace of the game.
Yeah,
is you're not done.
Mm-hmm. You
just make a new character. And you don't have to worry about it. If you're overly invested in your character's story, that's when it's a problem.
So are you saying there's no consequences? There are some consequences, though, right, of a TPK? I mean, the campaign could end.
It could, sure. Yeah. And if you end up having to make all new characters, you could end up having to start either restart the campaign with some consequences. Maybe you forward it. You make the campaign go forward in time a little bit, and the DM would assign certain circumstances depending on what's going on.
Sure.
So yeah, there can be consequences, and you might have to start a brand new campaign. You may not be able to restart.
Yeah, and that could lead to frustration for the player and the DM. I just thought about that. I mean, if I've worked on these but you can just reuse your material, and like I said, push the timeline forward. I guess is easier. Players, though, I mean. If you're part of a TPK, I guess it depends on how the TPK happens. Patrick talked about a really bad one. But if it's pretty fair, things turned out, you made some bad decisions, the dice were not in your favor, the DM had a couple good rolls. Oh, well, it happens.
So, right. So this is where I think old school play and shine through. One is the idea of just making a new character. The other part is when you consider domain play. So if you've gotten like I don't know what level these characters were, but if you start getting close to name level, like starting around 5th or 6th level, when you actually start coming into your own and you're able to reckon with a lot of stuff. I mean, a 5th level wizard, you can throw down a fireball. Nobody wants to mess with a wizard when they can do that, because you don't know. So you can kind of flex a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into domain play, you start attracting followers. You start having henchmen, especially if you have enough money to get some. You can't use this in Max's game because you never have enough money to have henchmen. But he might let you attract them anyway, and they just your fame or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, and they said we can't stay because you ain't got no money.
Right, because they do have to eat.
Yeah.
And when you do that, especially if you have the type that are like bodyguards and they go with you, because some do, then they get shares of treasure and experience, and they might be there to help blunt what could become a TPK. Or if you have camp followers, you might be able to draw, maybe you have some of your backup characters as NPCs in the camp. So you can have, someone who follows you guys around as an apprentice or whatever. Maybe they shine your boots, and then you activate that character when there's a TPK, or maybe you all do.
And that's not as popular in a more modern game because
No,
be followers and they have 2 pages of background of their character in a narrative game. It's going to be a tougher. They're getting fun.
The more narrative the game, the less popular this sort of concept is, and the less popular that character death at all, especially TPKs, are.
Right. Oh, James, this is good. Now, I've done this, unfortunately. I know at least, I think once. Wait, it wasn't TPK. It was just a dream. James. Yeah.
Reset.
Oh, did you? I think you played the time I did it, and you guys all groaned. You did not like it. You were just, and I remember thinking when I did it, and I was younger, of course. I thought it was genius. I thought, oh, this is going to be so cool. And then it's like, this is dumb. So
I'd rather just make up new characters.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times when I've had a character die, and I wouldn't have minded you doing that.
Right.
I got overly attached, and it's really, there's no real good reason for that. It's just a piece of paper. Even if you invest a little bit and get into the mind of the character, which is, I don't know, not something I really do too much. Maybe I do. I just don't call it that. I just use my imagination and imagine the character doing things. Maybe that's the same thing.
Yeah.
But you can get overly attached, and then none of these ideas are good.
No.
Your character dies and you don't care. You're
Right.
just, oh, I had so much plans, such plans, much death.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
What about positive consequences? There's some, like, I think for young players, you learn about the game.
Yes.
We had a post-game pep talk with the boys, all 4 of us, because the father and my friend were both very much into it. They liked the idea. They said it was cool that I did, put the hammer down. And we described to the boys that one of the reasons why they suffered. I think that can be good.
Yeah.
Me, it can be, man, starting a new campaign sounds good. We've been playing these characters for 9 levels, and I know it's awesome, but man, it was getting a little thin, a little tired, a little, you got your domains, and you guys decided to do something dumb and end up dying. Oh, well, we could be invigorated to start brand new and do something different, I think.
Sure. Yeah, you can learn. I had a thought that I thought was very clever.
Yes.
But as you were talking, I forgot about it.
Because I kept talking and took it.
Because you kept talking.
I kept spewing the cleverness. I won't shut up.
Yeah. You overshadowed all the cleverness that I was thinking of.
Well, teachers, we do that.
Yeah. But yeah, dying and learning how to play the game. Oh, continuity. That's why as long as you stay at the same table with the same DM, and that has reliable continuity with how he does things, like when he presents monsters and whatnot. And they don't all have to be the same all the time, but learning the game requires some continuity. If there isn't any continuity, you can't learn a whole lot, because what you've learned in the past may be invalidated if you switch things up a lot.
There's Max. I had my first character die today, and what do I do? I feel really bad. Should I own my mistake and tell the player the character is still alive? No, Max.
Is that from the DM's perspective?
Yeah, it sounds
like. Yeah. Well, there's some online articles that are like that. Oh, I don't know what to do after character death. I feel like a failure as a DM.
Dude, and how many players don't have more than one idea for a character? I mean, if you have a TPK, here's a chance to play that, awakened rust monster rogue you always wanted to play.
Sure. You may not be able to contribute to any role playing encounters at all because all you're going to do is wiggle your tentacles. But think of all the metal you'll be able to ruin.
I mean, there's just, there'd be some more classes, more races, more If you're running Pathfinder 3.x, dude, you'll never run out of combos if all the books are in play. So you got a new thing to build to play. But if you're running even second edition, hey, I played an elf last time. I want to play something else. Oh, a Twitter thread. I believe that.
Yes. Twitter's not a real place. Yeah. Right. But you could take a rust monster, make sure you're not carrying any metal, then into the King's Palace and say, you do what I say, or all the knight's armor just gets rusted to crap. And then you demonstrate. Go up to one of them and adios armoros, see what happens. I wonder how that would go down.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think of so if TPK happens, Joe? Well, for whatever reason, you're not inclined for a redo, are you?
No. The only thing I think I might be inclined for a redo, maybe, is if once the TPK happened and then the DM says, oops.
Yep.
If the DM pulls an oopsie, then maybe.
Right.
It would depend on when the oopsie is called. So TPK, we all pack it in and go home, and then a couple of days later, I did that wrong. Now, then I'd be like, it's done. Let's just move on. But if it's, right after the last character, says, oh, that's it, no more hit points, then you realize, oh, I did that wrong. I did twice the amount of damage to everybody that I should have, or something like that. Yeah. Then is one thing. But even then, resets are just a more problem, I think, than they're worth.
We're lacking. Patrick, I'm kind of with Patrick. I know I'm not inclined to continue the same campaign after a TPK. I'm not, unless I had like a campaign setting. If I was running Greyhawk for 20 years and I just really richly developed these regions, was slowly, working my way out, that might happen. What's Bruce saying?
Did Joe just say Rust Monster? Yes, I did. Well, not just. It's been a couple of minutes, I think. I'm saying awakened Rust Monster for they're awakened, so they have a high intelligence wisdom, so they can act on their own with at least 2 levels of rogue. This means its sneak attack goes against the metal object. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. For a monster.
I'm just saying it would be cool if it would be an interesting encounter to take a rust monster as your, you're going to try to strong arm the local lord and, walk up to someone in metal armor and, destroy it in one hit and then say, all right, you're doing what I say.
Rust monster mayor. Rust monster for mayor. Yeah. Oh, I think Max got a good point here. Legion. Character death adds to a campaign. It sure does.
Gives it, some depth, some history. So if you are interested in the story of the campaign, I think you can, if you're not too bought into the characters being integral to it.
Yes.
If the campaign doesn't have to have those characters, then if they die, fine. You make some slight alterations, then you keep going. But if you make the campaign so integral to the characters that each one of them has to make it to the end scene, if there is such a thing, or it's all going to fall apart, that's the way you want to run things. That's fine.
Right.
But it makes a very brittle campaign. Right. You don't need a TPK for that to get ruined. All you need is enough people not being able to make it one night or 2 nights, or it's been 3 months we haven't played. Well, we might as well do another campaign now because nobody can remember anything.
Right. Or the DM's lost steam. He's like, I'm not really into this anymore. That's
Right.
a thing that happens when you have big breaks. That's a problem I've suffered from for several years, and that's one of the reasons I'm thinking about taking a more serious break instead of keep trying to do stuff. I'm going to back off. I may work on mud sword and do other things, but I think I'm going to back off gymming for a while.
Right.
That's a different topic.
So yes, Patrick says, to me, I just think it a bit ridiculous that the characters that took on the quest have all been replaced by the third or fourth pinch hitters who had nothing to do with the quest start. Just ended. Well, I get that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I just say, that's just one way to do things.
Yeah, and when you could also use those backup characters, and maybe they leave. They say, "Hey, these guys died. What do you want to do?" You could start the campaign from your what do you call it? Your bivouac, where your
your camp, whatever.
Your camp of followers, and everybody grabs one of the followers, and you're like, "Dude, they're not coming back.
They're all dead.
They're dead."
And so you don't necessarily redo the same campaign. You take the campaign in a different direction.
Right. I think
that's new campaign.
Yeah, I think that's we've talked about what is a campaign. That might be fun to rediscuss, but the campaign world continues on, and maybe you guys do different adventures. That could be interesting, and it wouldn't be them being backup second strings coming to do the same stuff. They're like, yeah, we're the bosses aren't here. Hey, you guys want to stick together? I heard there's this thing going on across this other town. Let's go check it out. And they can't
have this cart with all this stuff. We might as well do something.
Yeah, we could sell some of the stuff, keep some of it. And they're like, yeah, man. Then along the way, they get jumped by orcs. They start gaining experience points. Holy crap, we're second level. Let's keep going, dude.
And all the while, the old campaign, falls apart and Venger wins.
Yeah.
And evil takes over the land, and then the scrubs have to get good and then kick the bad guys in the nuts.
Yeah.
Save the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. And then if they don't finish the quote unquote quest, then poop hits the fan, as you said. So that could be fun.
Yeah, it all depends on how you run things. If when you run a game, you have a quest in mind for the characters to do, it doesn't even matter if they're really integral to it. It's just the thing. If the campaign is a quest in itself, right? Like Lord of the Rings. So if there was a Lord of the Rings TPK, who would have, picked up the gauntlet from there? No one. No, it would have been, Sauron taking over, essentially.
But if it's a living, if it's a a world of yours that you try to describe as living, and think of it as the players have impact, so their death has impact, as Max said, and maybe other things happen. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It could be that orc army or the orc stronghold just got stronger. The orc lords sit more orcs there because they're doing so well. Now they're becoming a threat to the whole region. And you could, so for some people, I know for me, I thought it was originally, the campaign never ended, meaning it doesn't end. It's just a place where things are happening.
So Legion of Myth says, in the voice of the quest giver, you're not the first we hired to complete this quest. So the dangers are real. If you come across the dead, please let us know what happened. Be safe, traveler. I like that. So Randy had to step away from his PC. So how about we do this? Let's go on to Patrick's reply. He is with Legion of Myth. A character death will add to a campaign. Hell, a dead character may inspire the others to be bolder. Indeed. I think it adds depth if there's no real... If you can count on not dying, then you might do ridiculous things, or you might just be lazy and say, yeah, okay, we'll go and blah, 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 kill the bad guy, I guess. We're not going to die. And people might get bored with that. And Legion of Myth says bolder or more prudent. That could be as well.
I'm back. Had a bit of a tiny emergency.
Tiny? Okay. Going to talk about Ironcaster here. If the dwarves dies in the Hobbit with the trolls, Smaug would have remained asleep. Yes, and that little town would never have been. Well, did the little town at what was it called? the town that was at the bottom of the hill that they kind of went through to get to the mountain where Smaug was at. Was that little town in the Hobbit? You remember?
Lake Town, Patrick
Lake,
said.
okay, Lake Town. So Lake Town wouldn't have been disturbed. There wouldn't have been the war. The ring would not have been discovered.
If the dwarves, yes. Now,
isn't that where when the ring was discovered? Yeah, in Smaug's hoard.
I've watched some videos that would follow up with saying, and Sauron would have won, because this one guy said he believed his original plan was to get Smaug to join him, and that was why Gandalf decided that was an important quest. Because if Smaug had joined Sauron, it would have been bad news. That's just one, and that might have been someone's. I think that was someone's
supposition
or guess. Which
yes, yeah.
Had Smaug been alive and had been had been at Sauron's army, that would have been bad news.
Sure.
Oh, you would think Legolas could kill him with the arrow through the hole. He was totally.
Oh, that would have been a piece of cake for him.
Yeah, he would still only count as one, but
just one. Although there's no telling how. No, it still probably would have only counted as one, even with all the people it crushed when it hit the ground.
Yeah.
And he had heard of Gollum.
Who had heard of Gollum?
The dragon?
The dragon, maybe? Oh, I don't know.
Oh. Or Esgaroth. If you want to be all snooty about it. I guess that's the name of the dragon? No, it's Smaug. Is that the other name for Smaug? Or is that somebody else you're referring to?
Probably
Mr.
Town.
Patrick.
That was probably the town name.
Or the town.
Yeah.
Lake Town. Yeah, or Esgaroth. Yeah, it's probably talking about Lake Town. There we go. Context. Yeah. So, we were still on the TPK subject.
I think we were near the end, because I had mentioned that we think it's kind of. I'm with you. I do think if TPK happens, I'm inclined to let it lie.
Mm-hmm.
To say we've learned bad on my part, guys. I shouldn't have had Iron Golem in that first level adventure that you had to go through in the first door. Or Joe's like, yeah, my wizard shouldn't have snuck up on the ogre sleeping, woke him up and punched him in the face. That was a bad move.
Right. So you can make a board game parallel, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you playing Monopoly, not the best board game on the planet, but a lot of people have played it. You've got all of the hotels laid out. You got all of the money laid out.
Mm-hmm.
You played an hour or three, and you haven't gotten much of anywhere. But all the pieces are in certain places.
Mm-hmm.
And then your favorite dog that you've known forever comes up and whaps that board with its tail. So pieces go flying. Now, what do? You just start over again. Yeah. Because you're not going to remember where everything was at.
No.
And, as much as you love that dog, he might have to die after that.
He might. Depending on how serious Monopoly you are.
Some serious, thinking going on there. But yes, it's just like that. You just start over again. And you might be like, oh man, we wasted all that time. But let's just start over again. Or you pick a different board game. There's probably better ones. True. Risk, maybe. But the same thing can happen with Risk. And probably with even a bigger impact because of all the little pieces parts aren't for that. So what's happening over here? Let's see.
Sorry, Bruce was just giving me some ideas. Okay, Randy, have a dungeon. Here we go. Okay, Randy, have a dungeon of death lined with magnetized lodestone in the walls of the caverns. Keep it stocked with zombies and flesh golem. Truth, son. That's what I'm talking about. All the fighters be all magnetized to the wall. That's awesome. Murder tunnel. Fun.
But then you just run.
Yeah.
I mean, you unbuckle the armor, get off the walls, and
get out of dodge.
Get out. If you walk in, you're immediately smack. Well, no. If we walk into a room, and all of a sudden we're attached to the walls, the first thing I'm going to think is it's the king of the wind elementals.
Yeah, dude. Old school, baby. Joe's like, crap, I really like my Staff of the Magi. That's why he gave it to me last adventure. He was going to take it this time.
You never let my wizards keep staves.
No.
You'd let him find them.
Yes.
Then someone would always take them. Or kill the character, one of the two.
Yeah.
My favorite
yes,
to remember was when you gave my character a staff of what looked to be a staff of fire.
Yeah.
And I brought it. We went into town, and the mayor of the town was a spellcaster wizard or something. He was jealous and he wanted it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have, coincidence. So somehow he set us up,
the
whole party up for a fall,
right,
just to get the staff,
right.
And then just to add, and then he got it because, of course, it didn't matter what evidence we had. We were liars, and he bought off all the priests there. Oh, they're lying. I'll cast the spell, and they're lying.
He's lying, yeah.
And so then, as punishment, because I didn't take that lying down, I got turned into a troll.
Yeah.
So, but not completely. I still knew who I was. I think I got executed and then reincarnated as a troll.
I think you did too. I think that's how it works.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to reincarnate you.
That'll be okay. Let's roll.
You're a troll. If you can get turned back into a human, you can be, get your levels back.
Right. All you got to roll is 100.
Yeah, and then try to communicate with somebody as a troll. Good luck.
Look, let's make this clear to everybody out there. It's a miracle this man talks to me. I was pretty cold-blooded back in the day we were young.
It also is a wonder that he actually has nuts left. Because all
that's
the stuff,
more likely the truth.
Because
them up to my neck.
Because lots of nut punches were deserved but not given. What is this? My name is mentioned. My name is mentioned. There's another one. There we go.
What's that?
Okay, not sure what move he's talking about. That wasn't a bad move. The DM was unfair and didn't look at Joe's background story to note he specializes in Draconic Streetwise. Bad DM. Give the player his agency. Not sure. That's been there for a little bit, so I'm not sure what that's referring to. But yeah, bad DM. My story, my backstory.
Oh, remember Joe's bachelor party? You finally gave him a Staff of the Magic. Oh, that's true.
Sure. Oh, and then guess what happened with those characters?
Never played them again.
So yay.
Yeah, Bruce, I need to get my hands on Slumbering Czar. He says, I really just want to hear battle reports from your table after you run the Slumbering Czar saga. Good Lord, I'd love to hear how they handle the gnomes at the end. Oh, yeah.
Are you running that?
I want to buy that. That's what I want to get. Bruce made that sound pretty cool. I love that.
Bruce has brought that up a couple of times. Those gnomes are jerks.
Yeah, I think I would love running them. Okay, so we move on to the last topic. I think we agree I should do more TPKs all the time. I think that's the conclusion.
TPKs should not be avoided, but maybe not encouraged. Right. It's just they happen, and when they do, don't be shy about them.
If they happen organically, you're okay with it?
Yes, the organic TPK is fortifying and nutritious.
Fantastic. All right, let's end this show then with one last segment, quick one. This is kind of a big question for me because I've had to deal with this a couple of times in my 40 years of gaming. So one random question segment. When should you kick a player out of your group? And whose job it is? Hold on.
Yeah. All right. Emergency. Okay. Let's see. And don't point and laugh at Randy. Not sure. Let's see. If he won't let you run the Slumbering Czar saga, this is to Randy, who's not here. Then run the Vault of Laren Carr from Necromancer's Games. It's the finest you will play from 5th to 9th. I've not heard of that one, but it's a third party, so that's probably why. I'm familiar with Necromancer games. And they have some good stuff. Yeah, it did sound serious. Pat, I also hope everything's fine too. Let's see. Oh yeah, gnomes. Right. So I'll just take this one solo for a while until Randy gets back.
Did you hear the wife holler?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's having a tough night. She spilled 2 drinks on the carpet, like right in a row. So,
Oh, okay. It sounded like she was being attacked or something.
I did too, but she's so mad at herself she can't see straight. So, yeah. Okay, sorry guys. That was kind of hilarious. So, did you get very far?
No, I was just about to go solo on our random question.
All right. So, yeah.
When should you kick a player out of your group, and whose job is it? Well, that probably depends on the situation.
Sure.
But most of the time, if you're kicking a player out of the group and it's not the DM,
yeah, well, he could be one.
Well, it could be. I'm just saying if it's one of the players in the group and it's up to somebody to kick them out, it's probably, depending on the situation, the DM's job, because most of the time the DM has invited the people in the group. So if you've invited them and now they've made themselves unwelcome for some reason, then it's up to you to kick this person out, most likely, as the DM.
Yeah.
Most likely.
And I've done it. Every time a player's been kicked out, I've done it.
Right. If you're hosting the game, but maybe not DMing, and someone at the table does something inappropriate, then maybe you're not kicking them out of the group per se, but you can kick them out of your house.
Yes, you can. Get out.
So in that situation, it could be anybody at the table. And maybe someone not even at the table. Get out of my house right now.
Yeah. So, Patrick, kick a player when he's intentionally disrupting the game, refuses to adjust his behavior when you have the talk. Yeah, the talk is weird, and you got to be careful because you probably want to do that. You want to do that separate from the rest of the group, probably.
Yeah, and it depends. Well, it probably depends. If they have done something really heinous, he needs to go right now. You can say it right to his face in front of everybody.
True.
I mean, depending on how bad. I mean, if it's, let's say, it's maybe it's something that's annoying but not egregious,
right?
But it's a socially uncomfortable situation to deal with. Then you kind of take him to the side and say, "Hey, dude," whatever that might be. But let's say he's, grabbing one of the female players' butts all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all the time. Shouldn't happen more than once. Once it happens once, if there's no one else to defend the woman, or her, and she's going to punch him in the throat. And if it's my wife, especially, she likes throat punching. Then you get rid of that guy immediately. Something like that. You don't need to wait.
Yeah. Max says he's got a story. I'd love to hear that sometime.
Oh yeah, he's mentioned that on his podcast a few times that I've heard.
Bruce talked about stinky people, hygienic issue. It's easy to just let them play remotely. It's because you smell, Bob, and it aggravates my wife's sensibilities. Nothing personal. It's kind of personal. Patrick reminded me of one I think I've talked about on the podcast. Kick a player, at least for me, maybe he's had the same experience. Kick a player when he makes you choose between you and your wife. Yeah, that actually happened. I've talked about that.
Yeah, you don't go into somebody's some new place as the new person and say, "It's me or your wife." That's weird. Like that's going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, Shauner. Hey, welcome, Shauner. I didn't see you come in.
Yeah, he says he's banned from games. Oh, that's sad.
Well, if you're not woke and you display your not wokeness in some groups, I'll probably get kicked out too.
Yeah, and that's okay because that's not a good fit. That's not a good fit.
Not a good fit.
What about the tricky wicket? If you think you should, ban people? What does Bruce say?
We just booted it, and Bruce is saying we just booted and banned it because he was slowing down the game. I'm sorry, I'm not going to lose subscribers because I have a schlep who wants to run his 5e character in my.
Oh, jeez.
That's weird.
Yeah. So, like, what if you have a bunch of friends like we do? Can something happen where a player's like, dude, you just, I mean, you've been playing together, and could he be like, he's not a good fit for what you're doing?
It could be something not even related to what happened in the game.
Yeah.
Something can happen, some interpersonal thing, where he's kind of betrayed the friendships of everybody there.
Yeah.
And you got to get rid of the dude.
Yeah.
Because you can't trust him now.
Right. That has happened.
So that can happen.
Yep.
I mean, if you find out that one of your players is a serial killer, you probably want to kick him out of the group. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Could it be a non-serious? I mean, do you believe there's ever a reason you got 6 players you've been gaming with for a year or two? One guy has an incredibly annoying habit. Maybe he complains and will never let any ruling lie. A crazy rules lawyer that just wants to keep arguing all the time. Every session he gets into it with a DM and we talk to him about it, but he keeps doing it. Is that a time to let somebody go?
Sure. It's one thing to have a rule discussion.
Yeah.
If it's quick and if the person is just being informative and helpful, you can be a helpful person who knows the rules and not be disruptive. But if you're always trying to say, oh no, that's not the way it's supposed to be, and blah 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 blah, and harumphing all the time, no, you cut it out or get out.
Yeah. True. This has always been something I've wondered about in trying to quote unquote curate the perfect table, or at least a good table of mix of people. Because I don't think even in our group of 20 plus somethings, I don't think everybody is a good fit for everybody else. I really don't.
Say that last bit again.
I think even in our we have a large group of friends we play with, mostly Cabin Con guys, but a lot of the wives too. I don't think I would want. I know that I have purposely invited certain people to certain games, just for a particular experience.
Yeah.
And I would not invite another. I might invite them to one game, but not to another one. Patrick makes a good point. I don't know if I've had this. I think maybe I have. Ever have a person remove himself because he felt he didn't fit in?
Yeah. I think we do. We know someone. And I can't remember his name. He does the house, not inspections or something like that.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Pretty much. And he's not a bad guy at all. He just hung around for the lulls. And we were too
serious for him, I think.
Yeah. And he didn't. There's absolutely no hard
feelings. Love the dude. Hang out with him.
He's a good fella.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think sometimes it's hard though for people to see. Some people can't see that they don't like. I think it's hard sometimes. Like for example, if you're playing a game where it's mostly RP and narrative, not a D&D style game, I probably wouldn't invite Joe. That's the truth. I mean, if it's just like, meaning it's not D&D, very few dice rolling. It's not about your mechanical guy. It's about your story and your background and how we do interpersonal stuff. Honestly, I probably wouldn't invite me. But the point is, that's fine. If someone said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to run the Shadows of Estrogen," Estrin.
Yeah.
I had a particular experience.
That's fun.
Game. It might be a fun game, but maybe that's not for me. It would be nice if players could be self-aware enough, and DMs could do removal, not without rage quitting. Yeah, true.
Powder Puff Nerd says, "I knew a stinky creeper D&D player who thought he was really something else, but he was short, fat, balding, and old and obnoxious. I told him that. Didn't faze him."
I bet I could guess who that is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be nice if people were more self-aware. If I was more self-aware, it'd be better in my life. But it'd be nice if they could just realize, hey, this is not You're the one guy that's not really doing the things that everybody else is doing. So
Yeah, not everybody's a good fit for the table. Like you were alluding to with the narrative games, some people like that, and that's fine. That's your cup of tea. Go do that, and that's if you're going to try to. No one's going to want to sit at a narrative type person. Is no one not going to want to sit at our table, not for very
no,
long, unless they're fine with either style. So if
right,
you're fine with either style. You're fine with narrative. You're fine with more tactical. You're fine with a blend. Any of that. If you're down with any kind of RPG style gaming, then you'll be fine. But if you prefer that to not liking the other styles, then you won't like our table.
right.
I mean, we do some RP. Sometimes we do a lot of RP,
We do.
but we like to get in. We like to get into the combat, and
Yeah.
we're not. We don't stay in character all that much,
Nope.
and some people would be offended by that.
Right.
I refer to my character as my character a lot, and some people would kick me out of their table for saying that. But that's how I do sometimes. I go and I talk. I say I or me sometimes. I say my character's name sometimes, or he or something. Whatever is expedient at the time. The first word that comes in my head.
We have some people that have some uh, theater experience, but we're not aspiring thespians nor lesbians, either one. So
What's that?
I said we're not aspiring thespians.
I thought you said lesbians
I did, or lesbians.
or lesbians.
Yeah,
No,
but we have some
neither.
people, we have some
Neither.
folks that have got some theatrical
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
One of our friends is who may be on this show tonight has some, and I mean it's fine if you want to use that in the game, but we're not all going to be like I'm in character now, so don't break character. Get out of here. We're not doing that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And Shawner. Oh, where's that? I've rage quit games because the DM and min-max player were grooming a female player that just wanted to play
Ooh.
D&D. What do you mean by grooming?
Yeah, I think I know what he means.
I mean, the typical grooming is nefarious, but what do you mean by that particular?
Yeah, probably nefarious. Now, I do agree with Max here. I don't like overly narrative or overly tactical. I like a mix. I need to have it. Well, actually, I can enjoy a purely tactical game. I could enjoy a purely narrative game. So I'm kind of weird. I need to have a good amount of time to role play my character and roll the dice. I stay in character as much as possible, but not 100% of the time. Right. And that's fine. I would prefer to. I don't think I do. But yeah. So, yeah.
If you and Randy, this is from Bruce, ever want to have a game every 3 weeks, let me know. I have a vacancy for DMing a game.
Ooh, we could be players.
That would be of the online sort, obviously, because he lives in Texas.
That's true. Oh, I could,
Texas.
For Bruce, I would consider it. I'm just not really an online guy. That's my problem. But I do appreciate the offer.
Randy.
Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
We need to have a talk.
Okay.
We're online at the moment.
Okay, I will clarify, Joseph. I'm not inclined to actually play games online. I have tried it and not cared for it. But if Bruce is DMing, I would have to at least consider it.
That sounds right.
Yes. Thank you, Bruce. Let me think about
Let's
it.
see. Okay. All right.
I think that's good, man. I think
TPK is fine. Don't shy away from it. Don't do it on purpose because you want to end your game. Just tell them I'm tired.
Yes.
Also, don't post on Twitter that you're sad.
That your character died. That somebody's character died, and you got to give it back to
You
them.
want people making fun of you. I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah. And kick people out of your group. It's good for them.
It's character death is part of it. Sometimes all the characters die. It's part of the game of D&D.
Yeah.
If you don't like that, play a different game, I suggest.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, man. I think we're about ready to get out of here. What do you think?
I believe so.
All right. If you'd like to support our show, please visit the many places you can find us on the interweb. Joe has increased that number and changed some things. Apparently, are we on Gilded now, or are you still playing around with that?
we have it up. I'm going to post the link
Okay.
for people to come to join. And since we're talking about membership, our YouTube, let me check. I meant to say this at the beginning.
Oh,
Our YouTube channel has grown slightly.
cool. I like slight growth. It's better than slight decay.
We're at 167 subscribers.
Sweet. Oh yeah, I'm getting my good.
So, speaking of which,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't already, and you are currently watching, subscribe. Do it now.
Do it. Oh yeah, check our website at www.biggestgeekingpodcast.com. We got Twitter, Facebook, MeWe, Odyssey, YouTube, email, our email. The geeks at biggestgeekingpodcast.com is our email. Send us an email. Drop us a line on Anchor. Share the show with your friends. Let us know if there's any other way that you listen or watch that we can support better. And of course, as Joe said, subscribe, like, and rate us anywhere you like and rate podcast and video streamings. I'd like to thank all of our folks who came in here.
Yes.
Hey, Shadow Sun says, what do you got here? Hey guys, I just got off the phone with George from Emperor's Choice with some big news for all of you Arduin fans. Stay tuned. We will stay tuned. I don't know if I'm a fan yet, but I want to get some to check it out.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
It does. But I think we're out of here. So this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.